All right, some of the figures of speech that we've looked at sound, at least in their names, to be sort of unfamiliar to us, but that's probably not the case with rhetorical question. You probably have used that phrase maybe in a conversation where somebody asks you a question and you're looking at them and you ask, is that rhetorical? Meaning, do you really want an answer to that question? So that's what we're looking at today. Remember, we're looking at the figures of speech because we want to better interpret Scripture. A rhetorical question is a question that is asked in order to create a dramatic effect. You're making a point rather than asking, trying to get an answer. The goal for the author is to perhaps evoke wonder or amazement or pity or indignation. Any which way, he wants you to adopt his emotion. He wants to invite you as his audience to adopt his point of view. So that's the use of a rhetorical question. There are many biblical examples of this kind of rhetorical question. In Genesis 18, God asks Abraham, is anything too hard for the Lord? So this is not meant to invite him into a philosophical discussion about could God create a rock too big to move, too big for him to move. That's not the point. The question is not about the ability of God. It is about the faith of Abraham. So the intention is Abraham has to agree that God is big enough to do the impossible. That's the point. So the question is not looking for a straight answer. It's asking, what do you think about your faith? Could you trust me? I can do anything. Are you willing to trust me? All right, Proverbs 31:10 has another rhetorical question. An excellent wife who can find. This does not mean that the excellent wives are playing hide and seek and they're really, really good at it and the author is exasperated. The intention is to kindle the desire for that rare quality of virtue that would be found in a future spouse. So the desire is not answer the question, where is she hiding? The question is, are you willing to wait to look for someone who has the kind of quality, the kind of virtue that would provide a happy, stable relationship? So that's Proverbs 31:10. Psalm 8 has David asking the question, what is man that you are mindful of him? In other words, man is so small, man is so humble, man is so seemingly insignificant against the backdrop of your creation, against the backdrop of your power and your beauty. So what is man that you are mindful of him? We're not expecting an answer, man is a hairless biped. We are intending, the author is intending, David wants us to wonder, to experience a stretching of our imagination to evoke wonder that God, who is unspeakably great, would care for somebody like you and me. That's the point of that particular rhetorical question. You see how you can pull, you're not looking for information, you're looking for a response of emotion. Psalm 2, verse 1, begins with this question, why do the nations rage? In other words, this is going to be sort of it's a pointless exercise. They are in the process of rebelling against a sovereign God and against his Christ. And so the psalmist asks, so why do they rage? It's a fruitless endeavor. It's going to lead to nothing. It's going to lead to nothing but their destruction and judgment. So why would they do it? So it's not a question, okay, they might do it because that's not where we're going. Instead, we're trying to invoke the author, to invoke indignation and to underscore the futility against of rebelling against our sovereign God. It shows the stupidity of paganism or the stupidity of trusting in government. The nations are raging. They're going to break off the chains that they see the authority of Christ, the sovereignty of Christ as. And again, it points to the stupidity of the thing. So there we are. And then if you want another example of that rhetorical question, it is the question that it begins on Psalm 22:1, that is repeated by Christ on the cross. So when Christ asks, "Why have you forsaken me?" it's not as if Christ doesn't know, has somehow forgotten that he is being made the sacrifice for sin. The question is to wonder after the fact that the second member of the Trinity would experience abandonment, that God the Father would turn his head away as the sins of the world are poured onto Christ. So the intention is not to figure out the 7 reasons why the psalmist has been forsaken. The intention is to help you understand the loneliness and the abandonment that comes to all of us, but especially Christ on the cross, whenever God seems distant or seems far away, or you feel like he's turned his back. So see the way that the rhetorical questions are being used. They're not meant to give a straightforward answer. They're meant to share with us the emotion of the author and what he intends for us to think and to see and to experience. A couple good resources along the way. Bollinger will give you all the places where rhetorical questions appear. And as always, check out anything by Leland Ryken on literature of the Bible is a great thing. So check it out. And we'll talk to you soon.